Alright, today we're going to do a video on how to replace the fans on the RTX 3070 Ti from MSI. It's model, it's Gaming X Trio. And yeah, it's a pretty good cooler and fan, but I had this for a very long time, and the fan seems to be doing quite a little bit of buffing noise. It's not like damage or anything, but it's just making a little bit of noise that I don't like. I'm not trying to cut this video too many times, but I'm gonna start off just taking out the screw from the back plates here, and I try to do this without cutting it, or just do it in one cut. We'll see. The GPU itself, I already taken it off or taken it apart already once, as you can see from the warranty voice sticker being kind of poked around a little bit. It's just basically when I had this 3070 Ti, I don't really like the VRAM temperature being at pretty high temperature when I was having a little bit of workload on it. So just letting you know, there are a little bit of variation of the screws. If you can see, I've taken off these screws and they all look different. So I suggest, if if you're first time doing this, take out the screws and then put them aside like this as you're taking it apart, and grab a photo of it, because this, just in case in the future that maybe you have to take a pause or forgot something and you need to take a break from fixing this particular GPU and you forget where all the screws goes, you could just take an image and you can follow back on how to put back these screws. So in this particular GPU, it's actually not that bad, because other than these three, everything else looks the same. So since I'm recording this video, I can always follow back on it too. So I'm gonna take these apart, and I'm gonna separate these on the side. Yeah. Keep them organized, so when you're actually working on it, you're not losing those screws. So this RGB light bar gets power from this little connector over here, and there are thermal pads. We're not replacing any of this because, as you can tell, they're in pretty good shape. So these pads does give off a little bit of oil. Now, if you're like me and you like to clean it up, sure, but to be honest, these oil are non-conductive, and they shouldn't cause any issues if you just left it in there. Now, because we're doing this not just to replace the fans, but also the thermal paste on it, so we are going to take out the entire PCB out from the cooler, but I am gonna focus a little bit on how to replace the fan and how to re-thermal paste your GPU. So you take this and put it on the side here. Now, there should be too many screws left, if there's any. Now there's gonna be a couple screws that's kind of attached to the PCB and also the plastic bits of the GPU. Now, sometimes you don't have to take it apart, and sometimes you do. So I'm gonna actually try to not take it apart first. I'm just gonna pry it since I don't remember how I take it apart the first time. So I'm gonna pry it a little bit. See if it actually comes apart. Now, gentle strings, you don't need to put too much pressure. So these thermal pads, I have already placed them once, so they are non-factory thermal pads. So I believe the normal thermal pads from these GPUs, they do tend to break apart as you are taking it apart. So now I have crack it open, and you can see there's a couple headers here and headers over here on this side, and these headers are for the RGBs over here, and the other ones are for the fan. So we'll just give it a nice tuck. Now these ones are actually quite nice to take it apart. It's not too like how I say sticky. Now, usually we'll have problems taking out the fan pins, but from look at the thermal paste, just quickly taking a look at it, it's quite dried out, so we're gonna definitely repaste it. So I'm gonna try and move these crusty cables. So as you can see, my replacement fans do come in similar style, where the pins are white over here, it goes over to this slot, and the single fan over here is the black one, and will go over here. So you know now I have the right pin or right style fans for these. Okay, these are not bad to be taken apart. So before I'll go ahead to do the replacement, I'm actually gonna clean it first. So usually I use just a little bit of paper towel. They do leave a little bit of residue, like you know, paper shred residue, but you could just give it a little blow once you have cleaned it, and after that you could try to get out and get the paper pieces out just by blowing at it. They're not that hard to get rid of. Now, the crusty bits on the sides, it is technically okay to leave it in there, but usually I want to actually try to get it out as much as I can. But when you're doing this, be careful, there are components along the side. Do not use anything that's how I say strong, because you might end up breaking these pieces off and you're gonna end up having a dead GPU. But you can always use more paper towels if you need it. But for me, I'm just trying to clean it out as best I can. And to be honest, it doesn't need to be perfect. You just have to get the surface clean. So leave as that. Now I'm going to set aside this particular component, or PCB in this matter. Now this is our focus of the video actually, because this is where majority of our work is going to be done. It's on the cooler. I'm going to be trying my best to clean it out. So the thermal paste itself actually fills the gap inside of the heat pipes. That's why that's how it's designed. This way this way it will actually give you, I wouldn't say a better conductivity, but you just have a direct heat pipe that's touching your component, versus a lot of other coolers will give you a transfer plate or a heat plate that sits in how do I say, that covers the heat pipes and then transfer the heat to the pipes. There's the pros and cons for both designs. I have no judgment on whether or not which one works the best, but in this particular case, I'm just dealing with director heat pipe that's coming in contact with the chip. I did a little bit of cleaning. I think I need to actually clean out a little bit more, just a tiny bit more. I'm going through a paper towel quite a bit here, but really it's, you know, your fraction of a cent to clean something that costs quite a bit of money. I'd rather just use more of the cheaper stuff and make sure I clean it properly. Alright, I think that's clean enough. Now, with that said, this is the component we're most concerned about, is replacing these fans. Now looking at this is the first time me trying to actually replace the fans on this particular what do I say, heat sink. Now I don't see any screws. I do see a couple screws here and there. I see a screw over there. I don't see anything else that's actually very apparent for me to take it apart. There are screw sets over here. Now, there's one quick, easy way to disassemble some of these components. First thing I could do is just pop out these fans. Now, if you look at the original or the replacement fan, there's 3 screws, so you know you're going to take out 3. So, I'm going to do my best actually without damaging the original factory blades, because sometimes when you get these fans, they do get a chance of dead on arrival. So if that ever happens, you do still want to have your original fans to put back so you can actually still have a function GPU. To mention where I got these replacement fans from, I actually got them from AliExpress. They're just, you know, you know, cheaper or cheapest way to get replacement parts. But for me, I've been buying from AliExpress for quite a while, and they do have a decent return or money back policy. So, and I do plan my repairs, so I'm not gonna run into you know, doing a job halfway and I can't find replacement parts once I have everything disassembled. So now the fans are loose. Now I do see the shrouds do have screws on the top, so we're gonna taking out these ones. Take out these ones. This is why having magnetic screwdriver is so important, because the moment that you take out a screw, you could just pick it up right away and move it. It'll speed up your disassemble time quite quickly. Now, since now everything seems to be loose, I'm gonna turn this upside down. Now, remember how these cables are being run, because you might have to run them again. So these one come under the pipe, and this one are being clipped or by this little clip over here. Try my best to pop them out. So these, you can see that doesn't leave you much of a space to pop them out. So I'm gonna actually, you see how they're clipped. So you see they're clipped that way. So this fan should come apart too. So let's see why it's not moving. Alright. And it's kind of stuck there. But there we go. Now we have that sits over there. The fans will come apart. Like so. So remember how it goes. The single cable, one will go in like that. You might as well orient it identically with your replacement, and you orient it this way. So the short stubby one sits over here, like so. So you want to kind of orient it this way. And then have that sit there. Alright. Now, these clips, you might want to use a tool to maybe push them out a little bit, but it's good enough to squeeze right by. Let's see if I can do these ones. There, squeeze right by it too. Awesome. Now, it is a little bit dirty, but I did blow through this while the fans are still on with a little bit of compressed air. It is still quite dirty, but I'm not too concerned about it. What you could do is if you are planning to replace all of these pads, you could just take them right off and give it a good rinse on the sink, in the sink. That will get rid of all the dirt and grime. Blow it and blow a little bit of air into them. But in my case, I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna leave that alone. What I'm gonna do is that since I already have everything all laid out already, I'm gonna do the same thing and actually pop these back on. So as you can remember, that this first clip is where it's supposed to line up with your cable, and then you can run this connector down first. So this is the easiest one to put on. Now, I would recommend in this case actually put the screws in there. So remember how these screws are for these plastic bits and these ones are for the fans? Now we're gonna pop these ones on first, just so it's not gonna be a pain for me to later on to screw it in, just because it's very flimsy. So let's pop that out again. So we'll line up this into the first hole. Not to crank it down all the way, just because you might have to line the other ones. Now I can torque it down a little bit. Nice and quiet. Now you could run the cable over. Like that. Now these ones, I have to figure out the orientation of these. That you want to set them that way. That you want to pop it this way. So you'll take the path of the least resistance. So if you oriented it this way, and this will come in contact with this hole here. So a little bit crooked. Let's give it a try again. Now nice and loose, nothing tight yet. Now we're gonna move that over and have this line up to this. Have that screw line up hole. Now we can fully torque them down. Alright. No resistance. Now, these are from AliExpress. There you could see there's a little bit of manufacturer defect on the sticker anyways, but as long as the fan motor is all working fine, I really don't care about the aesthetics of this particular issue. Now the last fan, I think I might have torqued too much on the first one. Back it out a little bit. Now, you see how the fan's designed, where there's, you know, between these two blades is closed and then these two blades is open. Better to use the open spot on the two blades because it gives you a little bit more of an insert space on a screwdriver. But other than that, I think the gaps are pretty much the same. So it's not saying it. Yeah, I think I might have torqued too much on the other one. So this is why you gotta be careful when you're torquing these screws, because any one of these will cause it not line up properly. So there we go. Last screw in. Torque them. Not too much torque. You don't want to like crank on it. This is not a, you know, car part or anything like that where you need to crank on the torque. Now you just have to make sure you run these cables just like the factory. Run down this way. Now, I think I need to flip it out, flip the other way, because I think it's the cable is crossed. It's a little bit of pain to take it out again when you force it in the first time. So see how this is crossed? So let me just inspect it. So you want that to insert this way. Well, I'm sorry guys, I've been talking to myself for the last 30 minutes. Apparently the cameras have stopped recording, but so we left off putting on these three fans. So basically I finish up putting on the 3 fans, running the cables along over here. Make sure they are not kinking up and they're facing kind of outwards, not kind of inwards. Next thing you know is that to put the plastic shrouds back in. So put the shroud pack in. There's the screws that I have taken out originally when I was taking it apart. So we put these screws back in. Now the way to do this is that you want to do from corner to corner and then the middle, just so it's not like making sure all the screws are lined up properly. And once you have the shroud back in there, what you do is that you want to put a pea-sized thermal paste onto the die, and then you want to close it while still trying to connect these 2 cables. Now the way I did it is that without actually coming in contact with the heatsink and the die or the PCB, I have connect these 2 cables. Once I have connect these 2 cables, I set this down this way and I try to line up the 4 holes onto this particular bracket, or 4 points for the bracket to sit in. Once you have it lined up, and you give it a nice push, right? And while you're pushing down against the PCB and squeezing on to the heatsink, you put the brackets in. So the way I do it is that I slowly screw in this one, screw in this one, screw in this one, screw in this one. I go it like a cross pattern about maybe 6 or 7 times until I get them fully torqued down. The reason I personally do this is so that while you're squeezing down to the thermal paste, it actually spreads out evenly this way, so you're not gonna get a dead spot anywhere onto the die. You can be very generous onto the thermal paste application too. Just give it a little bit more, so you're just gonna squeeze out more. Because the thermal paste is non-conductive, that's okay. Now the last bit I end up doing is that I put the back plate on. So this back plate is actually quite well designed. It's able to dissipate heat, so it has thermal pads on it already. You just line it up. Now I still like to even for the back plate to screw them in a cross kind of direction, so I end up screwing this screw, this screw, that screw, that screw, and this screw, and just kind of go around in a cross manner to hold it down. Obviously in the beginning of the video I asked you guys, if you're doing this for the first time, make sure you take an image of all the screws you have to put in. Now I remember these screws, they're different, so I installed these pretty much separately from the rest of these, right? And these screws, all they do is that they're holding the back plates to the heatsink. It doesn't sandwich the PCB, so in my 2 cents, it's really not important to actually put these screws in a combination of these screws. So and my priority of installation screws is that I make sure these ones are all torqued down properly, and then at the very last screw in these in. I did put this card onto my test bed and test benched it. It's still warm to the touch. It's able to do about 45% fan speed, and the course is about 72-73 degrees. It was only for a few minutes. The stress test haven't really actually soaked the entire the heatsink of this card, but you know, as part of my test, this is actually pretty much a success. And the fans aren't making kind of weird wonky noise, other than the stickers aren't really on straight. They're kind of wonky, but other than that, pretty good buy, pretty good installation. Everything tests out fine. See you guys in the next round. Bye.